I run a luxury travel agency, but I'm not a travel advisor anymore. I don't plan trips very often. I haven't booked a client in years. What I do now is build the infrastructure that lets talented advisors become successful entrepreneurs. And over the last 15 years, I've watched really gifted travel advisors, people who could plant circles around me, struggle with their businesses. Not because they weren't talented, but because nobody ever taught them how to be entrepreneurs, how to build a brand, or how to run a company. The best trip planners are often the ones who struggle most building a business. Not because they're not smart, but because those are completely different skill sets, and our industry pretends they're the same thing. So today, I want to share what I've learned, what actually separates the advisors who scale from the ones who plateau. Not theory, just pattern recognition from working with dozens of advisors over 15 years. All right, so before we go further, let me tell you how I ended up here. I spent the first part of my career in the corporate world at Unilever and PepsiCo, consumer marketing at a global level. Then, in 2004, right when my daughter was born, I started my own marketing agency. Loyalty marketing, brand strategy, the hands on creative side I never got to touch in corporate roles. Then, in 2008, I became founder and CEO of Quintessentially Mexico, one of the world's premier luxury concierge services for ultra high net worth clients. And here's where the story pivots, because most of our concierge requests were about travel, high end travel. At first, it was just logistics: book the villa, arrange the yacht. But then I realized, wow, this is luxury travel advising at its best. And I fell in love with it. So I leaned in and started building an actual luxury travel agency. Not to solve a business problem. I built it because I genuinely loved this world. But after a couple of years, I also saw brilliant advisors working 60 or 70 hours weeks, drowning in emails, no systems, no leverage, just hustle and hope. And the industry itself choking them at every turn. Airlines stopped paying commissions. OTAs pushed direct bookings. Hotels wanted to cut out the middleman. I thought, this doesn't have to be this way. So I started building systems. Could I take what I've learned at Unilever and PepsiCo and my marketing agency and Quintessentially and apply it to luxury travel? Turns out, yes, I could. And that's what led me to eventually create the Experts Guild, to share what I was learning. So here's what I discovered. The first thing I noticed that the successful advisors knew exactly who they were. And I get it. I struggled with this too at first. When I started the agency, I introduced myself as a luxury travel advisor. Any specialization? Worldwide destinations? You know what that positioning got me? Nothing memorable. Because luxury travel worldwide describes thousands of advisors. There's nothing for the brain to grab onto. It took me way too long to figure out that I was trying to be everything, which sadly meant I was nothing. This was obvious in hindsight. Brand positioning wasn't a nice to have in Unilever or Pepsi, it was everything. Dove wasn't just a soap, it was the real beauty. And Pepsi wasn't just a soft drink, it was the choice of a new generation. Clear positioning, on category. That's what builds billion-dollar brands. I know advisors who own entire categories. One advisor I know is the Italy Romance Advisor. That's it. When couples in her network think Tuscany anniversary trip, her name is the only one that comes to mind. She turns away safari work, doesn't touch Asia, just Italy, just romance. And she's booked solid 18 months out. Authority beats variety every single time. If your ideal client can describe what makes you different in one sentence, you don't have positioning, you have noise. So that's the positioning piece. But even if you own a category, you'll still struggle if you make this next mistake. The successful advisors understand what they are really selling. This lesson came straight from my concierge days at Quintessentially. When you're working with ultra high net worth clients, you learn fast. These people don't need another assistant. They need someone who understands what they actually want before they can articulate it. A client would call and say, "Book me a table at Nobu." But what they really mean was, "I need to impress a client without looking like I'm trying too hard." Same with travel. Nobody calls a luxury advisor because they want 7 nights in an overwater villa. They call because they need to feel something they're not feeling: relief, connection, aliveness. Think about it this way: if a prospect asks, "How much for a week in Mykonos?" and you respond with a package pricing, you're selling a commodity. But if you ask them, "What would it be worth to remember why you married your husband?" Now you're in a completely different conversation. The pricing question disappears because you're not comparing villa cost anymore. You're talking about maybe saving a marriage. Okay, maybe that's a little too extreme, but the point is that I've seen this play out over and over. The advisors who lead with logistics, they get price objections constantly. The ones who lead with transformation, they rarely hear "that's too expensive." Because you can put a price on feeling alive again. Your clients aren't buying a trip, they are buying relief from pain or access to pleasure. If you're leading with itineraries instead of emotions, you're selling commodities. All right, so you understand positioning. You get client psychology. But here's what I watched most advisors hit a wall. When I first started, I was operating in pure chaos. A new inquiry would come in and I'd reinvent everything: craft a custom email response, build a proposal from scratch, create a new follow up sequence every single time. I would work 80 hours a week and feel like I was drowning. Not because I wasn't good at planning travel, but because I had no systems. It took me an embarrassingly long time to realize I didn't need a new email template for every inquiry. I needed one really good template I could customize. I didn't need to build every proposal from scratch. I needed frameworks. Once I started documenting my processes, client onboarding, inquiry qualification, follow up sequences, everything changed. Same quality, same personalization half the time. That's the difference between a job and a business. Now I see travel designers who have built this from day one. They have systems for everything, and they work 30 hours a week while making more than people grinding 70 or 80 hours a week. Not because they're better at planning trips, because they built infrastructure. This is where my marketing agency background kicked in. In that business, we were always testing tools: CRM systems, email automation, campaign management platforms. Not because we love technology, because we needed leverage. The successful advisors I work with now, same mindset. They see tools just like AI workflows as leverage, not threats. Because AI makes good advisors superhuman. I've watched advisors cut their admin time in half using the right AI tools. More time with clients, more time planning, more personal time. If you don't have systems, you have a job. And jobs don't scale. Businesses do. So you've got positioning, you've understand psychology, you're building systems, but you'll still plateau without these next two things. The more you share, the more people trust you. And trust is the only currency that matters in luxury travel. This is exactly why I started the Experts Guild newsletter almost 3 years ago. I wasn't trying to sell anything. I just started sharing what I was learning, systems I was building, and mistakes I was making. And what happened was that people would contact me and would say, "I've been reading your newsletter for months. Since you understand this stuff, how do I do two whatever?" You get the point. The newsletter has become my credibility engine. I know advisors doing the same thing: weekly emails, Instagram insights, sharing their expertise generously. Their inquiry calls are completely different. No more convincing. The trust is already there. Don't keep your expertise private. Teach, share, build authority through generosity. Newsletters, social content, client stories. They become the trusted voice in your niche. This is the one thing nobody talks about. Most advisors are addicted to short term tactics. Post, 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 hope something sticks. Instead, build assets that compound: email lists, evergreen content, referral networks, systems that generate leads while you sleep. Don't chase the algorithm. Build infrastructure that outlasts it. The advisors who scale aren't working harder, they're building smarter. They are creating assets today that will generate business 2 years from now. So you might be wondering, if all this works so well, why isn't everyone doing it? Well, here's the uncomfortable truth. The reality is that we train advisors to plan trips. We don't train them to run businesses. You can get certified by every supplier on the planet. You can fam trip your way around the world. You can know every villa in Tuscany and every safari lodge in Tanzania. But nobody teaches you how to build a sales funnel, how to price for profit, how to market without burning out, how to create systems that don't require you to be the bottleneck. We act like passion for travel is enough. Guess what? It's not. Passion gets you started. Systems keep you alive. Everything I learned at Unilever, PepsiCo, running a marketing agency, operating quintessentially, all of that applies to luxury travel. But nobody's connecting the dots. Travel advisors are getting the same tired advice. Post more on Instagram, join this host agency, get more supplier certifications. But they're not getting the business fundamentals: brand positioning, client acquisition systems, scalable operations. That's the gap. I'm still running the agency, still building systems, still working with advisors every day. But what I've realized about myself is that I'm obsessed with three things beyond travel: marketing strategy, business systems, and AI workflows. Not trip planning, not destination expertise, the infrastructure that makes everything else work. I built my travel agency to immerse myself in the craft. But what I've discovered was a systemic business infrastructure problem across the entire industry. So, about 3 years ago, I started documenting what I was seeing, and that became part of the Experts Guild weekly newsletter, a platform where I can share what I'm learning, the systems I'm building, the mistakes I'm making, what's actually working. It's free. It's just me thinking out loud about the business side of luxury travel that nobody else talks about. I thought maybe a few hundred advisors will read the newsletter. As of this recording, it's grown beyond anything I expected, and it's become a community. People reply, share their own observations. We troubleshoot challenges together. That's what the Experts Guild is: a community of luxury travel advisors who care about building sustainable businesses, not just surviving another season. If this resonates with you, here's what I would love: join the conversation. I share everything I'm learning in the Experts Guild newsletter and in this channel. One email and one video per week. No spam, just the systems and strategies I'm testing in real time. Link to the newsletter in the description. It's free. But what I really want to know is, where are you in your journey? Are you stuck on positioning? Struggling to articulate what makes you different? Are you great at sales but drowning in admin work because you don't have systems? Are you posting constantly but nobody knows who you are because you're not building authority the right way? Which of these lessons hit the hardest for you? I read every comment, and your answers shape what this platform is all about. Because the reality is that I'm still figuring this out too. I'm building alongside you. The Experts Guild isn't me on a mountaintop. It's a community of people trying to build better businesses, just like it was in the Middle Ages. If you made it this far, thank you. I know this wasn't the typical 5 tips to grow your Instagram video. This was deeper. But I don't want to keep seeing talented advisors burn out. You didn't get into luxury travel to work 70 hours weeks and barely break even. You got in because you love transformation, adventure, creating memories. But you can do that if your business doesn't work, and your business won't work without infrastructure. That's what we're building together. So, join the conversation, subscribe to the newsletter, subscribe to this channel, and let me know in the comments where you are at. Welcome to the Experts Guild.